Welcome back here today on the beautiful campus of Florida Panhandle Technical College. Here today with Amber Willis. Amber is currently a cosmetology student here at the college. We're going to talk to Amber in this segment about her experience within that cosmetology program, maybe how the process went getting enrolled, maybe qualifying for financial aid, talking a little bit about the opportunities afforded to Amber when she gets done. Our motto here is one life, 1 year, one great career. In this case, within a year's time, Amber having the opportunity to go into that workforce, get a well-paid job, retool her life as it were, and we hope that we'll get your attention as a young adult, as somebody who may be an adult in later life, looking for that second career. Maybe you've been downsized, maybe you've lost your job, and looking for another career to go forward, and again, looking for that well-paid job. And we're going to talk about all this and more when we come back. We will be right back. Welcome back. Our guest today is Amber Willis. I keep calling you by the wrong name. Your name is Amber Nicole Willis, and I keep calling you Nicole, so I apologize for that.
It's all right.
Amber, here today to talk about cosmetology in general. You've been in the program, as you mentioned in the pre-show, about 6 months. You started in last summer in June. Have about 6 months to go. So within that year's time, you'll be done. Let's start at the beginning. Talk a little bit about Amber. Talk a little bit about your past and what led up to you getting to be a student here at the college.
It was something I was always interested in. Whenever I graduated high school, I went to College of Mariana, and then life got in the way. I got engaged, I got married, I had a baby, and then it just come about to where it was more feasible for me to be able to come back to school. So I just kind of jumped in and was like, I'm going to do it.
You have a very large class. Just within the last couple of years, the cosmetology program, which used to be fragmented and in several buildings, all came under one roof. The setting is not unlike a salon that you might visit to have your own hair done. You're set up with stations, and in that respect, it actually gives you some experience in what would be the setting in a real world when you get ready to go to a salon. Let's start a little bit earlier than that. Did you take advantage of financial aid to come here to the college?
I did. I got approved for some Pell that paid about 2/3 of my course, and the rest I had to come out of pocket. So.
Okay. And was that a bulky process? Talk a little bit about how you found out about the fact that financial aid was available and what it took to actually qualify for it.
It was a fairly easy process. I knew that Pell was an option, because I had used it before whenever I went to school in Mariana. And so I just called the school one day and I talked to Sarah in Student Services, and she helped me through the entire process with all my financial aid and stuff. And I pretty much was able to do everything over the phone. I think I made 2 visits and then I started school.
Cosmetology is a growth industry, and I guess it always has been. If you look around, not just here in Chipley, but the surrounding towns, we have a lot of salons. We have a lot of people doing nails. We have a lot of people doing hair, manicures and pedicures. There are a lot of different facets. As far as the actual work is concerned, talk a little bit about that school year and how you learn all of these different aspects of cosmetology, and maybe what direction you're going to go in as your preference within those fields.
When you start out, your first couple weeks, you're in the classroom. Mr. Miller goes over your basic haircuts and foilings and how to roll perms and roller sets and all these different things. And then whenever you feel like you're comfortable enough to start working on actual clients, then he'll just come in there and be like, hey, do you want to do this cut or do you want to do this color? And you pretty much just jump in, and he's there with you just about every step of the way. So if you need any assistance or just a little reassuring, you got it, he's walking around to offer it. And then we have our bookwork that we have to do. It's kind of a go at your own pace, so you're not overloading yourself. I personally learn more hands-on. So I finished all of my bookwork within like the first month of school so that I could just strictly be out there interacting with people and just getting all the experience I can. So,
you mentioned interacting with people. What's cool about the cosmetology program is that the public can come, make an appointment, get a haircut, whether you're a man or a woman, get a hair color, manicures, nails, any of the services ordinarily offered in a salon at a very reasonable price. Basically, as Mr. Miller points out, it's at a cost recovery so that you cover your costs there. But the opportunity for you as a student to actually work on real people instead of just mannequins all the time, and instead of just working on each other. I noticed that within cosmetology, the hair colors change an awful lot and hairstyles change an awful lot.
Yes. It's an ever-evolving thing. We went through a phase when I first started where everybody was red. And not a copper red, I mean like a bright, vibrant red. And then they kind of faded out, and then they kind of went into more of like the soft ombres. And so now we kind of, I don't know what they're doing. They just kind of do their own thing.
Do you have to learn all of the aspects of cosmetology as a student? In other words, did you spend time with nails and manicures and pedicures and color and cuts? Do you actually have to do all of those things within that program?
It's in our curriculum. We have to go over. We have to be able to know it for state boards. But if it's not something you're interested in, you don't have to take the time to do X amount of sets of nails and manicures and stuff like that, because some people, it's just not their cup of tea, basically. I have just recently got into doing the nails and stuff, so I mean, I want to be able to know how to do as many things as I can, so that whenever I get out of school, I can be like, hey, I can do this, this, and this versus just a simple cut.
Yeah, and depending on where you go, you're probably going to be low man on the totem pole, so you're going to get walk-ins, and until you build a clientele, which I guess is the ultimate for a hairstylist, is that getting that clientele who come back every 2 weeks or every month or whatever the schedule is, and so you stay busy all the time, and you're not really out there having to hunt for business. One thing that amazes us, again, is that there are so many salons, so many hairstylists, and when you talk to these cosmetologists, many of them, the preponderance of them, have graduated from right here at what used to be the VOTEC and is now was Washington Holmes Technical Center, is now Florida Panhandle Technical College. About a year ago, we experienced that name change. Did it mean anything to you to go from the VOTEC or the Technical Center to now being literally attending college? Did that really mean anything to you personally?
It did, because it's almost like, you can have that pride in saying, well, I went to college to get my degree, whereas before, people would be like, well, where are you going to school? And you'd say, well, VOTEC, and they'd be like, oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Not that we compete against any other school, let alone four-year college, but realistically, when somebody goes, fresh out of high school particularly, into a four-year college, they end up with a huge school debt. You come out, you're not necessarily trained for a job. Typically, you're going to take entry-level jobs and then learn on the job what that specific thing is. Whereas here, within a year, some classes much less than a year, some more, but roughly in a year, you are capable then and qualified to take the state boards, the state tests, become licensed, and then go to work in a well-paid job. Have you given any thought to what you're going to do when you get out of the school and pass your state boards? Have you found a place to work yet?
I have. I'm actually going to start at the styling station here in Chipley. I've been going there for about 5-6 years now. That's where my hairstylist works. Back when I used to tan, that's where I would tan at. So I know all the ladies, so I know that if I ever get in a situation where I need advice or help, they would be more than willing to jump in, and it's like another little family.
Yeah, and that's one thing I really notice in cosmetology. I notice it in other programs too, but cosmetology specifically, you're sort of a small family in there. And I say small, you may have 20 or 30. Mr. Miller says he can have up to 50 students at one time enroll, because not everybody's there typically. But I notice all the time that you have cluster of other students around watching you do a hairstyle or somebody else, and offering their advice if advice is needed, or just moral support. I would imagine that you make some really strong friendships and bonds within that year of school.
You really do. It's interesting to see all the different types of people that come in. They're different points of view on life and different characters, and so it's nice to be able to see people that you hadn't seen in years. I have a friend, Rochelle. We actually went to elementary school together, and so now she's enrolled in the program couple months after I did, so we joke around. We started school together. We're going to finish school together. So it's nice. You get to reform those friendships and make forever lasting ones, I guess.
I know nothing about cosmetology. I've learned more about cosmetology since we've been working with the school and helping with that marketing effort, other than the fact that I get my hair cut every 2 weeks. But that said, there are opportunities within cosmetology, probably almost much easier than any other field, for you to become self-employed when you get out. So you may go to work in a shop, you may go to work renting a chair space, or you go and rent your own building, and fresh out of school, you could open your own business. Probably not the most wise thing to do. I would dare say it's important to build up that clientele. Talk a little bit about how that process works and your plans going forward to make sure that you get that clientele.
A lot of people, when they start out in cosmetology, you get customers that'll come in, and then they'll slowly kind of turn into returning customers. And sometimes, if you're lucky, they'll follow you to wherever salon or place that you're going to be at to do hair. And I'm hoping that a couple of people at least will follow me. But if not, I'm fairly confident that, through walk-ins and just, word of mouth, I'm a little bit of a social butterfly, so a little bit everybody knows me. So I can make friends pretty easy. Mr. Miller jokes around and tells me I could talk to a brick wall.
That's a huge skill when it comes to cosmetology. If you're not a people person, you're not going to attract that clientele unless there's people that don't want anybody to talk to them, and they want to come in, they want to be grumpy, and they want their haircut, and they want to pay the bill and leave. For the most part, when I go to get my haircut, it's almost a social gathering. You've got people who are getting their haircut who know one another because their schedules coincide. All the hairdressers are carrying on. It's a different world from working in an office somewhere, certainly. And it's a little less structured than, say, for instance, working in the corporate world where you're working and doing financial reports or taxes or something. There's got to be some attraction for people. You mentioned that you're a social person, so the attraction has got to be partly that as well. A well-paid job, being able to do something you like doing, but that social interaction, that makes up a big part of it, I would think.
It really does. If you're not a people person, if you don't like to meet new people, if you don't like to branch out, try new things, I really don't think that you'll do well in this job.
What's been one of the bigger challenges? Obviously, you experienced some life. You didn't come into this program fresh out of high school. That could be a plus and a negative, I guess, or a challenge. What has been one of the more poignant challenges for you coming into this program?
The biggest thing for me is learning how to juggle getting my son to daycare and getting myself to school on time. Before, he didn't have to be there till 9, and I didn't have to be at work till like 9:30, so we kind of slip in a little bit when he would let us. And now, we have to get up a lot earlier. I have to be here at 8, so he's dropped off at 7:30, so that was a big adjustment. And then I'm pretty much ready to go as soon as my feet hit the floor, and a lot of people, they need a couple minutes to wake up, so I had to learn, just kind of tend to yourself and for the first couple minutes, and then let everybody wake up, and then it's all fun and games. But some people are very grouchy when they've not had their coffee.
What's been one of the better parts? What's been one of the things that you've really enjoyed about making the decision to attend here and going through this program?
I really have learned a lot as far as different styles, different ways to cut hair, different colors. There's 1,000,001 different ways to apply color. It really is interesting to learn all these different techniques that you can apply. Not every one person is going to have the same technique that you use for their hair, so it's good to know all these different things. And with the group of people that typically come in, you're not going to do just the regular highlight and all over color. You'll have some people that want blue, some people that want purple and want these big, bodacious colors, but you just have to learn how. That's where the tricky part comes in, because you have to learn your formulations and be confident in what you're doing, and just sometimes you have to wing it, but they don't know you're winging it. You have to have that face like, I got this, and just do it. So.
Yeah, and that kind of ties back to that fact that since you are working on the public, you're getting to experience how to please a customer and adopting that philosophy, which unless you have it, you're not going to get far, that the customer is always right. And between the personalities you deal with the other students, with staff, and then with that public clientele that comes in, you've been a waitress, so you've dealt with everything. You know that some people probably shouldn't eat out. You get it. But for somebody who has not had your experience working with the public, that would be a big factor, I would think.
It really is. You have people that'll come in that have very, very strong personalities, very in-your-face type personalities. Then you've got some that come in and you're like, you see their lips moving, but you're just like, what'd you say? Like they're just real quiet, and so you kind of have to. It's a good balance, I think. You have to really work well with others.
You mentioned different techniques, styles, products. One really good relationship that Mr. Miller has is with the product reps and manufacturers. He has been on the show talking about the fact that you get to work with Redken and Paul Mitchell on all of the higher end products that ordinarily you probably couldn't justify buying for the class, but the ability to use the new products, the newest products, those that are going to be trending when you get out there and selling your own services, and the ability to get those at reduced prices and the school supplying them, that's got to be really strong and obviously a really good feature of the class.
It is. We have a new line, Alpha Park, that we're using too, and I think that's what I'm going to use whenever I get out on my own. But I've already basically formed a relationship with our sales rep, who would still be my sales rep. I love Miss Debbie. She's actually doing a class right now. She's very easy to work with. She's very knowledgeable about what she's selling, and so I think it's good that you go ahead and have that relationship built before you get out, and then that way you can be like, well, I tried this, I didn't really like it, and she's not going to push it on you. She's a pretty awesome lady.
Yeah, and it works both ways, and it's a good point that you say that sales rep already knows you, knows your personality, knows what you tend towards, maybe is going to be more apt to recommend things that are going to be suited to you and what you like to do, which is going to be a benefit to you when you get out there in that salon. If you had any advice to offer a high school student or a young adult or someone who, like yourself, has experienced some life before they made a change and are maybe looking towards cosmetology or a related field, what would you have to say to them about what's offered here at the Technical College?
I would say, I have a blast every day that I come to school. You do have to have a very disciplined mindset. It's not always all fun and games. You do have to make sure that you finish your schoolwork comes first, and then you can go ahead and get out there and play, in your mannequins, and then when people come in, you can try, different things and all. The biggest thing is you just have to really, once you set your mind to it, just do it. Don't make excuses. Don't be scared to do it, because that's what I tell some of the other girls that come in. There's a sign on the door that says all work done by students, so they can't really get mad at you if you mess it up. So that's the only way you're going to learn, is just to do it. So
the cool thing about cosmetology, like many of the other campus programs, is that they enjoy open enrollment, which means that students can start pretty much any time. Now, that said, Mr. Miller has explained that I think you accept new students 4 times a year or something like that, so that you have groups of people going through at the same speed. But that's really a good opportunity, because you don't have to wait until the start of that next school year and maybe pass up some time during which you're ready to go to school. When you started, did you find out that was the option, and was your starting time based on that scheduling?
I did. I wanted to, as soon as I knew I was going to be able to come back to school, I wanted to start right then. So, it worked out for me to where I could start in June, and then I would be finished around June the next year. Some people, they want to wait till after the holidays, so they'll start in February. We have a new class starting at the end of February, I believe. And some people want to wait and get the holidays out of the way for those that are self-pay. And then different strokes for different folks. So.
Sure. Something for everyone. And I guess the point there is that the school programming does accommodate personal schedules. We've had instances where somebody has been enrolled in the program, has to take time out to have a baby or to do some other life-changing circumstances. They simply put the program on hold, come back, start up again where they left off, and then finish successfully. So all good stuff. Thanks again for being our guest today. Thanks for taking the time. I hate to hear that you're missing a program that's going on now or a class, but again, we appreciate you sharing your experiences. Many people out there in your same life circumstances, and I think it's important that people find out about exactly what we offer here at the school. So thanks again.
Thank you for having me.
Our guest today has been Amber Willis, a cosmetology student here at Florida Panhandle Technical College, talking about just one of the 40 degree and certification programs available right here. Retool your life. If you're an adult and you've been downsized, it's a nice way of saying you might have lost your job. We can furnish a new career here. Our motto is one life, 1 year, one great career. If you're a high school student and you're interested in the dual enrollment, you can actually attend school here at the same time as getting high school credits and college credits at no cost to you. And you need to find out more about that by going to our website, fptc.edu. You can stop by the student services right here on Hoyt Street in downtown Chipley. Check somebody out like Amber, who is currently a student. If you know somebody going to the school, ask them about what they're experiencing right here at the Technical College. We'll be right back.